Welcome to Paolo's podcast. Today is our second podcast, and obviously this might be a little bit scary for some people and trigger you because I'm going to be pretty much bearing my soul and taking my mask off that I usually wear during the day, and this is how I am behind closed doors. And so please do us a favor. Remember, we're a non-for-profit 501c3 grassroots, so please subscribe and like us if you do. Hopefully you will, and make a donation. Probably wondering why I look like some bed today. I'm going through one of my challenging days. All my symptoms are full range. I'm at a really tough, going through a tough day. But I wanted to turn a negative into a positive and hopefully share my story and what I'm feeling right now and some of the coping skills I'm trying to do to relieve some of the symptoms that I'm feeling and tell you why. And hopefully it'll encourage you to get through some of your challenges that you're going through. And that's my ultimate goal. So we're going off script a little bit. So this is pretty much just free flowing and telling you how I feel. Every night I go through my ritual. So I took my eye shower and then transitioned into my warm water, did some deep stretching, some breathing exercises, and then I started to notice I had a headache. And now there's a big difference between a headache and a migraine that I will explain later in a different podcast, the difference between a migraine and a headache. Right now I'm dealing with a migraine, which is pretty unbearable. But I'm going to try to keep my attitude up, so this is not a complete downer, and this is more educational. Last night, when I got set to go to bed, I turned off the light, went through my regular routine. I turned off all the lights, so I had no blue lights. Got into bed, and I started to do my meditation. I took about an hour before I was in bed. I took my Sleepy Time Tea Extra, which I use to help me fall asleep. I took my blood pressure medication, and I started feeling it, and wasn't having a panic attack, but I was getting a little bit anxious. I knew it was like, I call this a spell. One of the spells started to actually happen. So I started forecasting, my mind started racing, and because I thought maybe this is going to be worse and it's going to stop us from our momentum of trying to get the Power Podcast out there, because our goal is to put at least 3 out a week and follow the format that we've all agreed upon. But it depends on my health. So first thing, I woke up and I was in full pain mode. So everything, the migraine I was going through was just off the charts, and I was hearing voices and ringing, and I was just dreading it. I was just like, oh man, I'm going to call up Alex, who helps me film this podcast, and I'm just going to cancel and just sleep in during the day, because there's a correlation between you get severe pain, it'll transition sometimes into depression. So I started feeling it because I'm starting to get used to and understand the triggers and what goes on. So the pain was pretty off the charts, and basically it was the migraine, because I was still in bed, so I didn't feel the back pain and the joint pain all throughout my body. My neck was bothering me, so I didn't even get a chance to take my blood pressure to see if my blood pressure was raising. My face was burning, and the voices in my head were not like, schizophrenia. They were non-threatening voices, but they were voices that were not making sense. And they were people I know, like my father, my friends, and my girlfriend, but it would be like stop and go. So it's really hard to really communicate. And there wasn't anything structured, like go out and mow the lawn, or anything scary that you would have to definitely make an alert with, like go out and kill yourself or hurt somebody. So they were non-violent, and I'm already used to these sounds, so I don't really panic over that. But was the first step of anxiety. So I went through my coping mechanism right in bed, and I immediately went into like a fight or flight mode, and I said, all right, we can't quit. Because again, I don't know how fast I'm going to be deteriorating. Hopefully I'll be around for a while. I'm not going to quit. And this coping mechanism of trying to help the community and any of the viewers, in order for it to work, I got to follow through with my end and my commitment. So I ended up taking my deep breathing exercises and I meditated. And it was, if anybody's had a panic attack, it feels like you're having a heart attack. So I don't want to say it's like, because a doctor might say whenever you have chest pains, immediately go to the doctor, get checked out. But I didn't want to run to the hospital because I had a feeling it was a panic attack from the anxiety. So I didn't have pain going up my arm, but it was in the middle of my chest, and it was hurting a lot, and felt like the walls were closing in a little bit. So I immediately went into my meditation mode, and it's important that I did my nose breathing. So I did circular breathing, and usually one of my doctors told me a panic attack on par usually only lasts like 10 seconds. If you can get through that 10 seconds. If you have a condition and anxiety, try it and see how it works for you. And hopefully, maybe if that does, then we did our job. So I circular breathed for like 10 seconds deep. I got as much oxygen into the top of my head. I focused on the pain, and I almost kind of like wished or prayed it away. You just reached out to a higher power and circled it out. And almost like I was just relaxing. I just tried to just like push all, if it was something bad in my body, I just tried to push it out and throw it out. So my instincts, it was, again, it's like I always call it the good guy or the bad guy or the angel and the devil. I had a force, and it was like a magnet that wanted me originally. I had my phone right next to my bed, and I wanted to reach over and call Alex and tell Alex, hey, dude, I can't handle it. I'm in too much pain. And then I couldn't even, I had to go to the bathroom. I still didn't even I was in so much pain, I was afraid to even move. It's the weirdest sensation. And I don't know if anybody out there can identify with it. And this is part of, I believe, is the depression. So it wasn't so much the pain. It was, the pain was, I think, transitioning into depression. It was like, I sleep with this anxiety blanket, which is a weighted comfort blanket that helps me go to sleep. It's like a mother holding a child, so it gives you a compression and makes you feel comfortable. It works for some people, other people, and I'm surprised it works for me because I am claustrophobic. So it wasn't the blanket, but it felt like the blanket, because the blanket's only like 15 pounds or 10 pounds, and it's very soft. It's like cashmere. It's really nice, and the room is cold. But it felt like the blanket was like 500 pounds, and it felt like I had people strap me in a gurney, and I was down. And I've been here before, so I wasn't in a panic mode. If this was the first time this was happening, I don't know how I would have handled it. It probably would have been a lot more difficult and a lot more scary. But since I've been through this before, and this isn't the first time, and they've been getting worse as time's going on, but I do have my good days, or days that the pains aren't so severe. I said, all right, I could stay here, but then I'm not going through my coping skill of what our strategy is to distract the pain. Even if I stay in bed, and just fall into this depression and let the depression dictate my lifestyle and go through here, the pain's still not going to go away. The anxiety's not going to go away. So I just hit my tongue down and just chomped up, and I pushed, and I got up, and I said, let me just get to the bathroom, and I'll take one step at a time. And I wasn't going to rush. And I wasn't going to call Alex and say I'm going to cancel. I wasn't going to say I was going to continue. So immediately I went into the bathroom, brushed my teeth, and it was even just the ringing and the pressure inside my head. The best way for me to explain it is I could actually feel, and I don't know if it's happening, I could actually feel that, like, it's picture like a jar. All right, and you feel your brain, and there's a little bit of a gap, and that's when your brain feels healthy. I could feel my brain swelling, and it almost wants to pop through my skull. So really what I want to do is to relieve that pressure. I wanted, the pain is so bad, I wanted to, I'm alone. So I want to actually smack my head into a wall because the pain is so bad. But obviously that's not going to make me feel any better. It's going to hurt me even worse. So, but that's just the irrational thinking that's going through my head because the migraine is so bad. And then comes along the nausea. I start becoming hypersensitive and I start getting really sick. So I threw up, but I really didn't have much in my stomach. And then I said, all right, go the next step. And this is maybe a little bit good part about, unfortunately, the contact sports and the head injuries brought me to this place. But the good things I learned through sports is work ethic, sometimes pushing through the uncomfortable times that you're going through and training and stuff that athletes can relate to. So I didn't stop. So I turned this into almost a fight in my head. And it was almost like what I used as a tool. It was, all right, I almost envisioned there was somebody outside that I was competing against. So every time they wanted, the pain and the symptoms were forcing me to go backwards, I would just get mad. And I actually yelled out, because I was alone. Wouldn't scare anybody. And I just yelled out. I just shook it off. I got in the shower, went through my routine, the ice. I had started off with the cold water. I wasn't expecting it to breaking. I was just hopefully it would wake me up, give me more strength to continue on with the day and get on with the pattern. Then for a 15-minute ice shower, which is I like ice. It actually started. Then my back started to cramp up, and I started losing sensation because of the sciatic nerve. Got a little bit nervous because I didn't want to fall. My shower is like a tub, and like some of you might have, and then I have the regular shower, so I was getting dizzy, so I didn't want to fall and hit my head or something, so I balanced myself and transitioned the water to warm water. So I always start ice, and then I go into heat. I gave myself a pressure massage of the parts really hurting really bad, and the voices, I just was talking to myself. I said, they're not real. Go away. I would try to cover up my ears and then focus on the sound of the water. And I could hear birds chirping outside. So I tried to trick myself onto blocking out anything that was negative, that was maybe scaring me or depressing me, and focus on other things that were actually in reality happening, like the birds outside. And it's a beautiful sunny day. So got out, brushed my teeth. Even brushing my teeth was so painful. And knock wood, that's the one good thing. I've never even had a cavity. I've had my jaw broken twice, but I've never even had a cavity. But each stroke of, going through my hygiene process, it just hurt everything. So I just learned to accept this. I said, okay, it's going to be one of these days. So I got dressed, and I decided not to call Alex and cancel. I just said, all right, let the games begin. And I went and I started with a new medication that I did, which is supposed to start. It's a pill that you put under your tongue, and I might be pronouncing it wrong. The neurologist just gave it for me. You can only use it 8 times a month, so you have to really be careful. I don't know if it's an addictive substance or not. You might bring it to your doctor's attention. He can speak to you about it to see if it's a good fit for those that suffer from migraines. It's called Braviel, I believe, but this is how it's spelled. It's spelled U as in umbrella, B as in beer, R as in Richard, E as in elephant, L as in Larry, V as in victory, Y as in yellow. Okay? Now you put that under your tongue, and this is the first time using it. It's supposed to catch the migraine when the headache is there. It's supposed to stop the migraine from the headache breaking through to a migraine. But maybe I took it too late, because now my migraine and the hypersensitivities, the smells, the nausea, The dizziness, that is when you're in a full migraine. I'm wearing eyeglasses because the light is actually like somebody punching me in the head. There's a lot of pain coming from light. So ideally, if weren't filming right now, I would be in my bed and I would be in a complete dark room, and that would lessen the pain a little bit. So today was the first day I used it. It's this is the new medication that they just tried me on. It's an injection for the migraine. It's called AJ. A is in apple, J is in Janice, O is in ocean, V is in victory, Y is in yellow. All right, a Jovi, I guess that's how you pronounce it. And what it is it's a syringe. It comes preloaded, okay, and it's loaded with the medication. And I guess the doctor prescribes how it works. And you're only supposed to take this 3 times a year. So it's 3 shots. Take it and you put it into a muscle every 3 months, and you inject it under the skin. So you look for a fat tissue area, and you just stick it in your butt, or you can put it in depending on the size of the needle. This is the first time I'm using it. It comes, if the needle's going to be long, you want to use it in a fat tissue area. You don't want to go into your abdominal. And the pharmacist, and this is one of the things that annoys me about the corporate pharmacist. Friend Alex picked up the medication because I couldn't drive. He or she didn't even give him correct directions how to use it. But I know previously from the other taking injections, if you do take it in the shoulder, like some people like I take testosterone, because after multiple years of getting concussions, it's been told that my testosterone level is ridiculously low. It's almost at a 75, where it should be for a man my age. Check with your doctor. I think it's around the range of 700 to 1,000. That's a healthy testosterone level. And that could be another reason why I've been putting on so much weight. The needle, if the needle is longer when you pick it up, you want to put it into like your butt, but you don't want to put it into your thigh. And I know one pharmacist did tell me that, but then I spoke to a nurse, and they said you never want to inject into the thigh because there's so many blood vessels into your legs, and you could actually hit a vessel, and that could be very dangerous. So that's an important note, safety note. Somebody might not tell you that you learned here with our podcast. So I took my medication, and unfortunately, nothing got any better. But I'm not negative because this is only the first day I've tried this. Then I got my ice wrap. Now this is an ice cap. Okay, this is my best friend, and I'm wearing a back brace for the pain in my back to give me traction and to hold my posture up so I'm not pulled over, straining the lower lumbar and the stenosis in the spine. So those are 2 things that relieve a little bit of pain. The ice cap, and it's called Headache Hat. That's actually what it's called, and you can get it on Amazon. I bought like 3 or 4, and you can be reusable. Use them so they're constantly cold, and I try to wear them 24/7 when I'm in a really bad state like this. So that is how I'm trying to manage migraine. So right now, the hard part is the migraine. And then what doesn't help is the vision. So I'm blind in I believe I mentioned blind in my right eye now, and the left eye, which is hopefully going to go away. I'm getting a new pair of glasses. It's been very hard for me to read emails, and we're getting different content and questions, and our apprentice program is working great. And hopefully you go to our team page and you see our apprentices, because young all-stars and rock stars out there that are going to be in the medical community and are working with us with our non-for-profit to help us gain the resources and content that I don't have the energy to get, and it falls within their major to give them real life experience. So I just wanted to bring that out there because They're doing a great, tremendous job, and they're really passionate about the project, and they give me their love. All right, so if anybody has bad eyes or they don't wear the right prescription, then that could actually trigger a migraine. So that's why I'm wearing the glasses indoors when I go into a restaurant or a club and I see a guy that's trying to act cool and is wearing sunglasses inside. And I think they look like a tool. Besides my voice, which I know is very distracting to you, the audience, and watching it, comes from two things. So obviously I told you I was a performance coach. So when I was coaching large groups of athletes, I was out on the field. I would constantly learn how to project my voice. So I kind of scarred it up a little bit. But the medications that I'm on, and I think it's mainly the blood pressure medications, and that is due to my weight and my poor diet and lack of exercise. I'm going to be addressing the weight right now. That's one of my main objectives and goals, to really start to drop the weight. Do that by an anti-inflammatory diet and 75% greens. And I'm going to try to go the rest 25% animal proteins, lean animal proteins, and then reduce the pain. I've been adding in turmeric with black pepper, a high grade quality that I buy at Whole Foods, so I know what I'm getting. And then the issue with my voice and the dry mouth, what I'm doing to counteract that, since I can't stop taking my blood pressure medication, is that I've been trying this new product out. It tastes like bubble gum. It's called Biotine. They have it in a mouthwash, which is really easy, just gargle. And that actually will keep my mouth kind of moist, so it's not as raspy and my throat doesn't hurt as much. That's another trick that maybe you could try and attempt, and you just ask your dentist and maybe they'll give you some free samples. The weight, I know if I can get this weight off me and I'm in control of that, I can blame partial, make a lot of excuses with that because of the medication. But the amount of calories I put in, if I don't burn them off and push through the pain, then I'm not going to get the weight off and the pain's not going to be manageable. That's where I stand with the weight issue. Hopefully, what I was going through, you could maybe identify in some aspects. Everybody has different pain, and I really don't differentiate physical and emotional pain. So it's not that I'm being a tough guy or anybody else is weak or anything like that. Pain is pain, and you could learn different type of mechanisms. If you have something that you could share, I'd be interested in hearing it and hopefully using it, because that's part of our campaign, is learning from different people and different coping skills that are healthy and that could be useful. So we went over my migraines. We went over different techniques I use to try to get focused. And probably the biggest lesson to learn from today's talk, without me being preachy, because, I mean, if you are, really super hurt, you shouldn't have guilt if you do stay in bed, because everyone's different. And I don't want to lay a guilt trip on anyone else either. But you'll be surprised what you could do if you really push through things. Like, no matter, I'm thinking right now, what's going through my head is that I feel like I'm in the worst pain in the world, that no one can understand what I'm going through. But I guarantee you there's veterans coming back that lost their legs. We know outside all the bad problems that are happening in the environment, and people are less fortunate than myself. So I can't feel sorry for myself, and I just got to keep on taking one day at a time and hopefully sharing my stories. And that just proves that just by doing this got me out of bed, made me a little bit productive, and took my mind off of the depression, and for at least this amount of time. And that's all I can control is today. I can't control tomorrow. So my next step that I'm going to do today is, since I got a little bit of motivation now, and I did force myself to go through my routine and didn't just bail out is I'm going to do some light exercises in my pool and do some stretching and mobility and continue with my ice and then my supplementations that I use to treat some of my other symptoms that we'll address in another podcast. So, in closing, as we always do, is please, subscribe, like, share with your friends, tell them about this new weird campaign that we got going on, that 100% of the money that we're going to raise for donations is going towards our programs and our operations. So obviously you see how we're shooting on the bare minimum. That our production quality might be a little bit less, but hopefully the information is helpful. If you're having a hard time staying focused on my voice, refer to the website cpmha.com and go to the resources. We're constantly posting new information and new coping skills from our apprentice and internship team. So that's how I'd like to end today. And also email us, go click on contact us and email us questions and topics so we could constantly create new content and give you the information that you have trouble finding.